This episode brought to you by the following patrons: Heather, Min, Jason, Madeline, Laura, Jeremy with the laser eyes, Allie, Kristen, and Tia. But because it's that special time of the month, we get to shout out our You Can Get It level sponsors, and they are Ghislaine, Vanessa, Heather, Kathy, Nikki, Knitting Menace, Spooky Lime Pie, Renee, Grace, Sean, Dr. Voorhees, MD, Amelia, Aaron, Irene, Naomi, Bex, Laura Lubu, Cameron, Kaylee, Unintentionally Badass, aka Jennifer, and Isaac. And all the patrons want you to know you're loved, you're listened to, and you're a valuable member of this awesome Horror Virgin community. And if you want to come on a long walk with us, do so in the subreddit or Facebook group where we'll be hanging out daily.
Weirdest ad for New Balance I've ever seen.
I'm glad Ray didn't win because this movie proves he had no soul on that shoe.
Oh, because he was a ginger.
No, because he lost his soul of his shoe, Paige.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that part. You are right. He did not physically have one.
Yes.
Thank you for tuning into Horror Virgin on Paige.
And I'm your Horror Virgin Todd, which means I don't like scary movies, but you guys make me watch them. And this week, the listeners made us watch The Long Walk. Paige.
Yes.
Was this the first time you saw The Long Walk?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, it was my first time too. And I gotta be honest with you, the title gets it right. Like it is
does get
just
it right.
a long walk. Like that's all we got. You know,
It's what's on the box. Yeah.
There literally is nothing outside of the walk. I mean, I guess we get a little bit of build up to the walk when his mommy drives him to the walk site, but like that's it.
And we get 2 flashbacks.
Yeah. Everything else, the walk.
The walk.
And it is long. Like I bet it's probably like an hour 40. It feels long.
It's an hour 48.
Okay, I was close.
It's not crazy long as a movie. It just feels interminable because nothing is happening.
Okay, so I do think they have I hate this about me. I loved this movie on some level, but it also really bums me out. And it is kind of boring, because it is just a walk. But I love this movie because of honestly, all of the points most people probably miss when they watch this movie. Like that, those are the things that make me love this movie. But I don't think I'd want to watch it again.
Sure.
I do think it should be required viewing in schools, but it's not gonna be. And not film school, Paige, like ethics schools.
No. I understand from a specifically American dystopia, the world building, yes, very interesting. I feel like they don't do enough with it.
I honestly didn't care about that part at all. You get it. You get it like within the first 10 miles.
Yes.
You understand the world you're in.
That's part of my biggest problem with it is like anyone with any media literacy at all gets it in 10 minutes and then the movie does nothing else with it. And I feel like if you're trying to look at this as a metaphor and look at this as reflecting the way that our country is even now or has been in the past.
Has always been.
Yeah. All of those things are present and better and done well in other movies that are more interesting to watch. And that's to say, everyone performing in this movie does a great job. All the performances are great. I think this is probably a very good book. I think this is a book that does not translate well to a visual medium.
Well, because you're literally just walking the whole time, Paige. And
yes.
I don't necessarily disagree with anything that you're saying. I think if you're paying attention to what's been going on in the world, not even just in America, I do feel like this is I think it's pointed at capitalism as a system and not necessarily America, although it does obviously take place in America.
Right.
Because the things it's pointing out, I think, are systemic problems in capitalism. And I'm not saying that capitalism is the worst. There are definitely worse systems.
Sure.
But I think that's the one this book and movie are pointed at, Well,
and I think it's specifically American capitalism.
I definitely think yes.
Our brand is what they're going for.
Well, and I think that there are some indications that it is that I think this movie does a really good job, and probably the book too, of if someone from the UK asked me what American healthcare system was like,
this movie,
I would just send them this movie. I'd be like, yeah, as long as you're able to walk the capitalism walk, you're fine. But if you get your legs run over by a tank, they're just going to shoot you. You know what I'm saying? Metaphorically speaking, our system is designed to keep those that are already healthier and on Adderall so they can work harder. And then if you get something that is odd or terminal or whatever, it's kind of all right, buddy, You had a good run. You had friends, right?
Right.
Die now, please, because you're a drain on the state. Like, that is what this, I think, movie is one of the things I think this movie is pointing out.
Yeah. But I feel like it does that the same way over and over and over again. And it's like, these are repeated beats. It's not super visually interesting.
100% agree with all the things you're saying. I like Maine, too. I think it's pretty Stephen King. Don't get mad at me.
Right.
Set something in a different location, because it's just trees the whole time.
I mean, here's the thing. They shot those trees very well, sure.
But, like, set it in Colorado, where you get trees and mountains and, like, you still would get the horses and the kitties on the mailbox and, like...
Very pretty.
But, like, I get he's from Maine, and Maine is beautiful, guys. It's
fine.
It's just, if all you're doing is walking down the street, get as much in the lens as possible, you know?
True, but here's the thing. It's like, it wouldn't matter to me where it was, because, like, it is shot beautiful. Maine looks beautiful in this movie.
It does.
I'm not gonna,
yes.
Like, it does.
Maybe set it in the fall, you know, really get those leaves to pop. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. All I'm saying is, I don't need, first of all, how this movie got away with anything, a single shred of a second over 90 minutes, I don't know why they let them do it. Secondly, I didn't sign up for a fucking slideshow with you murdering teenagers the same way over and over again in between. There's nothing here for me. I texted you last night after watching this that this was cardio with Andre, and I stand by that.
Paige, this is... I mean, yeah, it definitely is cardio with Andre. You're not wrong. God, if you haven't seen Dinner, never mind. That's such a
I know,
that's
that is
such
a
good
deep cut
joke.
film joke.
Yeah,
I get it.
It's such a nerdy little joke that I loved. But you could also say, Paige, we are one Nick Lachey away from this just being the Hunger Games. You know what I'm saying?
100%. But that's the thing is I'm like, and now granted, Hunger Games is definitely about Vietnam and definitely did copy a lot of Battle Royale. But that's what I'm saying about, like, there are multiple other properties, movies, books, films that have tackled these same issues in a much more visually interesting way. That doesn't mean the story's bad.
No.
It doesn't mean that what they're saying is not good. In fact, again, that's why I said the performances are great, because even those moments where they're having that dialogue in between, everyone's doing a great job.
Yeah, I thought everyone was great in this.
I'm sure as a book, great. But not all books are great to be adapted for movies, and that's okay. It doesn't make them a bad book. It doesn't make the movie a good movie. Like, there are books that are, because they exist much more in the heads of their characters and much more in the feelings and emotions than the actual actions happening in the book, don't make for good movies. And people had said for a long time that this book was unproducible as a film. And you know what? Maybe they should have listened.
I mean, I do think, having not ever read the book, this is a watchable movie. I will say, I don't think I'll watch it again, though.
Sure.
And largely because, Paige, I agree with everything you're saying. It does feel like by maybe the fourth or fifth kill, at least the kills that have, like, points, when they're, like, walking up the hill and people are getting, like, just picked off.
Right, the kills that have meaning.
Yeah, like, those don't feel like double beats to me. That just feels like heightening of the tension that we have, right?
Right.
But the kills with metaphors attached to them, I'll say, by the third one, you're like, this is kind of a double beat. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it, capitalism bad or whatever, but like, what's new about this other than we just watched that guy shit his pants?
Right.
It does feel like double beats.
We watched two different people shit their pants and almost die for it. One dies for it. One lasts a little bit longer. But, like, that's a double beat.
Paige, I'm going to be honest with you. I would not die for it. I am definitely coiling it off and getting up, whether it is smushed in the cheeks or not.
I was going to wait to bring this up, but I feel like it was one of the biggest, giant, blaring red flags for me in this movie. A character in this movie says, most people shit once a week. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Paige, if you have to know, it made me think I have to go to a doctor if that's real. Like,
no,
because I shit way more than once a week.
If I'm not shitting once a day, something is very wrong with me.
Yeah.
Right?
But listen, I'm not a doctor. I don't know what's normal, but once a week doesn't sound right to me.
No, once a week is absolutely insane.
In fact, I went to summer camp once that didn't have, like, bathrooms. They just, like, outdoor latrines, and some of the kids would, like, not use them. So they were like, guys, if you haven't gone to the bathroom on number 2 in a week, we have to like talk to you. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a concern for the camp. So like I get the vibe that like once a day is more normal, right?
Yeah. And here's the thing. Every other day, fine. Like whatever.
Yeah, sometimes it needs a break.
But a week? That was one of the things that I was like, either when writing this, there were some medical things going on and somebody didn't realize. Because that was the other thing is I was like, what's going to happen? Once I realized that they were never stopping for the bathroom and never sleeping, I was like, this could be over fast.
It is kind of over fast. I mean, they only walk like 300 and some miles, that's crazy. Don't get me wrong.
That's a long distance.
It is.
But it's only 5 days.
Right, exactly. It is a long walk. So like feasibly, it has to be like a short amount of time. I mean, I say that, but like 5 days is a long time to walk. But like Hunger Games takes place over like 4 years.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I'm saying. Like compared to other movies that are making these points.
Yeah.
But I feel like this movie is just like, this movie could take place in the Hunger Games, right? Like,
right.
This could just be another thing that world does. Because this is just a microcosm of the shitty society that they live in or the shitty system they live under. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and it also seems to be set somewhat in the past in an alternate reality, which I couldn't quite put my finger on.
I kind of got the vibe that it took place, and I have no idea, but like in the 70s.
After World War II.
Yeah, after World War II, like in the 70s.
Yes.
But they do have some like digital technology that like I think the soldiers can like see. Like they can see how fast like they're walking and there's the display on their watches. They can see how far they've gone and how fast they're walking.
Right.
I actually thought like it might be more 90s because then that was when we had digital technology that could transmit like that and still be that small.
Right.
But like it's dystopian and everything looks like it's from the 60s or 70s.
Right.
Even like the style of clothing and the cars they're driving, like the Jeeps you see.
Yes.
So like I had a really hard time placing it in time. But it doesn't matter to the story because it's honestly a timeless sort of metaphor.
Sure.
It's not really a real story, although obviously it's presented that way. But it's for the metaphor, you know?
With it looking like it was in the 70s, early in the film, as I was kind of analyzing, I was like, all right, I see a lot of what you're saying, but what are you going to hone in on as the theme instead of just being scattershot for killing kids? And I went to the draft in Vietnam. And I was like, if you want to think of this as far as that analog and the military industrial complex just chewing up and spitting out our young men, like...
I think that one of the points it's making is specifically that.
Yeah.
And I do think the only way they could have made that point more clear is when the guy holds up the radio as they're like saying like,
yes,
fuck the walk or whatever.
Fuck the long walk.
If that had been CCR's Fortunate Son, like that would have been the perfect needle drop.
I think they just couldn't afford it.
If that's the only metaphor you're trying to make in the movie. But because of that, I kind of like the movie. I really like movies with messages that I agree with, but I don't disagree with your feedback of it as a film. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes, yeah.
Your feedback is accurate. And that's why I don't want to watch it again. I watched it once. I took the lesson, Stephen King. I understand. I'm on your side. I'm going to not watch this again, you know?
Here's what I'm a little bit missing. And again, it would still be a struggle to make this cinematically viable because, again, it is not a very visually interesting story. But what I was missing was people intentionally sabotaging each other because they believe that capitalism will favor them. Like the poor fighting the poor.
You don't see that, but you definitely would in this situation. Unless there was like a rule against like, you can't touch somebody
and there aren't.
Or whatever, right? Yeah. Because I would think people would do nefarious shit
100%
under the guise of like putting their armor on somebody and then shivving them real quick, you know?
I really worried that when Barkovich put his armor on him that he was going to drag him off the pavement.
Well, if he did, they both would have been shot.
True. Although if somebody pushed somebody off the pavement,
we don't see that.
We don't see that.
I know, and that would be an easy way to get rid of somebody, right?
Or tripped somebody.
Yeah.
Right? Like
if you trip somebody and they get right back up though, you're kind of fucked because they get 3 warnings, right?
Sure. But this was the thing I kept thinking of, like, you know, it is kind of a failing of like, because they're not stopping at night, you do have the like, how are they even staying awake? How are they walking or whatever? But in the sense of trying to sabotage people to win, which I think this is where I think Battle Royale really succeeds among all of these, is that it does truly show that some people do think they'll be favored by the system and will attack other people. It shows that some people will help other people no matter what. Like, it is a much more interesting microcosm, and it is still my favorite of a movie like this, if you want to think about it.
Yeah.
But every time we got to nighttime, that first night when they hit a hill, and a ton of people die because they just cannot keep up, right?
Yeah.
And the soldiers are shooting people and not even like looking at who they're shooting. Like, I was surprised that we didn't get people with like bullets and ankles who are still trying to walk. Like, we get that guy with a twisted ankle, but like that, it's mayhem. I needed more of that.
There's a guy who gets shot in the gut and they just let him bleed out, more or less.
They just let him bleed out, but because he tried to attack them, right?
Yeah, because he's a hero.
But then that happens fucking again. Like, that's a repeated beat.
Kinda, yeah.
I'm like, at what point does a group of people start trying to plan while they're walking? Or like, at what point do a bunch of people get killed because one group decided to try and better their odds? At what point do they start turning on each other? And none of that happens.
Nope.
None of those human emotional people points happen, where the only villain ever
is the system,
the major and his people, which I get for your metaphor.
Yeah, I think that is why they're doing it, for the metaphor of the system is the problem. Like, they don't want anyone to feel like, and they do try to make Barkovich a villain, even though he fully is not. He does something that like leads to someone getting killed by the system.
Yes.
But they themselves are not the killer.
He is mentally ill, very clearly.
I think he's been traumatized, truly. I think Barkovich is living out some trauma, and he is, I think, crazy now because of that.
I would argue he starts mentally ill, and he is one of the representations of how the system specifically fails people with mental illness.
Yeah, I think you could read it the same way as trauma, because they code it both, like they code it in a way that makes it could be either. Yeah.
Right. That said, even if people within the 50 in the movie are then targeting people, that's still the fault of the system because it has put them in this scenario.
Yeah.
So, like, it still works with the metaphor, and it would have made the story more interesting. Like, when they're getting into, like, everyone always applies, but, like, you're doomed to die. Nobody likes this. Nobody wants this, but we all apply.
Yeah.
They don't dig into that at all. I'm like, we need to talk about that. Like, nothing.
You're right. We do need to talk about that.
Well, it's like the movie likes to bring up points and then not resolve them. And I'm like, and we're walking again, and we're shooting people the same way for the 5th time or whatever.
Yeah.
So, like, I needed more story variety to keep it interesting. More variety among the characters. Because even after you get everyone's story, you're like, okay, everyone has their own unique thing, but in a way they're very similar under the eyes of the system.
Oh yeah, they're all the same under the eyes of the system.
But that just means that I have heard the same life story basically 5 times.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
You know? So I'm going to say read the book, skip the movie probably.
Honestly, just watch the movie because it's way faster and you'll get it. Trust me.
You watch 15 minutes of the movie and then you're like, I got it.
Paige, I don't know that that's true for a lot of people, unfortunately. I think that there are people who watch Battle Royale and been like, man, those 2 kids that were like the villains, they're the villains of the movie. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Because Battle Royale does a decent job of setting up who the real villains are, but they're not in the movie very much.
They do get killed violently at the end, though, which is pretty fun.
True. The thing that this movie, I think, does better than Battle Royale, and it's just this one thing, for the record, is it shows the system is ever present.
True.
And will kill you if you don't stay in line.
Because the lights are always there. Yes.
Yes. And well, and even during the day, the Jeeps are always next to them and the tank behind them or what.
Yeah.
I mean, the tank runs over a guy's legs and the soldier gets out and still counts to 3 warnings.
Which is nuts.
Like, he could get up and walk at that moment. And then I was like, oh shit. This is like a brutal reminder that the systems we build can lead good people to do terrible things, but kind of like, societally speaking, politely.
Right.
Like, so they like strip the humanity out of people and situations until like someone's just like calmly counting to 3 before he literally murders someone who just like really needs help because you ran over his legs,
right.
You asshole.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And, like, you see examples of that like in real life.
You could have stopped the tank on him and just shot, but no.
Or, yes, honestly, at that point, he may die anyway.
Right.
So just put him out of his misery. And then I was like, I was like, because of that, thinking through like, oh, that is kind of like, I see that kind of shit in my real life. You're like talking to a friend or your mom or your uncle or like a church friend or whatever, like good people. And like, you'll hear the system talking through them and saying like terrible things about like, I don't know, poor people or gay people or immigrants or what trans people or whatever. And like, I like had the realization watching that scene that like, you really got to be careful for the systems that you sign up for, because they will sometimes excuse like terrible behavior, even if they're like good groups. And Paige, like, I don't know if you know this, but you have like a pretty successful cult podcast called Cult Podcast.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So like you talk about this kind of shit all the time.
All the time.
And I think this movie shows the system being the villain in such a good way. Like I loved that part of it. But Paige, it's kind of a boring movie. I don't disagree.
No, I get what you're saying, but I would have loved more info about their specific system, right?
Yeah, I think from a make this a better movie standpoint, you're right.
Yes.
I think from a we want to talk about the system being the problem.
Sure.
They took some of that out of there, or maybe Stephen King didn't even write it.
No, okay, so I actually have notes on book versus movie. I looked this shit up.
Fair enough.
The system is more vague in the book.
Yeah. That does not surprise me.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, that does not surprise me. So like, I think that Stephen King, when he wrote the book, obviously was like clearly like,
yes,
the system's the problem. I'm going to make the system the villain in every transaction so that you cannot forget that.
Right.
And I kind of dig that. I do feel like haven't looked at any of the reviews for this movie.
It didn't do well.
Yeah, I was going to say, if someone was like, the movie feels too preachy, yeah. I'm just in that preacher's choir. You know what I'm saying? Like,
sure.
It wasn't bad for me, but I get it if you didn't like it.
I'm in the choir, but if you had a song with no chorus, I still wouldn't like it.
That's fair.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. But Paige, perhaps maybe we should go through the movie scene by scene.
We should. And when I know things book versus movie, I'll point them out because I did do some deep diving around that.
Now, did you read the book or did you like find a guide or something? Okay. Yeah.
I found a guide.
I know Stephen King's not your favorite author, although I think you have read some of his stuff, but.
Oh, yeah. And it's hit or miss for me, right? I actually think Stephen King's short stories are some of my favorite stuff. And obviously The Shining and other things. Great.
Yeah.
My first inclination when I went to go dig up differences between the book and the movie was like, damn that guy and his endings. And the ending of the book is more nebulous, but I think actually fits the metaphor better. I was actually shocked at the change they made for the film.
I mean, I loved the end of this movie because it was Pete realizing that in some situations, vengeance is worth it, you know?
Sure. I appreciate that they did that. Now, part of the reason they did that, do you want me to wait until the end, or I can?
Yeah, let's pin it. Let's pin it. Let's talk about it. Yeah.
Anyway, this movie starts with a title card so long,
Paige,
it should be a crime.
Paige, that's because it's not a title card.
It's a letter.
It's the very famous thing that every movie does that just shows you a letter of correspondence that a character you haven't met yet received.
Line by
and
line.
It even kind of looks like typewriter font a little bit.
Right.
But it just says, Dear Raymond Garrity, congratulations. Your voluntary submission to participate in the long walk has been accepted through lottery. Now you have the rare honor of representing your state as a symbol of hope in these economically desperate times. The entire nation will be watching the live broadcast with admiration and awe.
If you win unimaginable riches and a single wish await, a chance to break free from today's financial struggles and inspire the nation, please report to the starting line on May 1st by 8 a.m. Luck to you, Mr. Garrity.
Yeah.
That's one title card that they display line by line. It's on the screen for almost 6 minutes. I was like, fuck you.
That's a long time. There's no way it's 6 minutes that's on the screen. That's insane.
It's because they go like 30 seconds between each line or whatever.
That's too long.
It's way too long.
Listen, I didn't clock it as 6 minutes.
And I'm probably exaggerating at 6.
It does feel too long. It feels
way too long.
Like it does feel like 6 minutes.
Especially when you and I just read this in the matter of a minute, and a character could have read this in the matter of a minute. I would have had his mom read it, personally, if I was writing this movie.
Coco the gorilla could have learned the words and signed it in the amount of time it's on the screen.
Sure, but I'm like, apparently in the book, his mom dies, so like she's not as much of a figure, but I think Judy Greer is turning in an incredible performance.
As Judy Greer always does.
Every time Judy Greer was on the screen, I was sobbing.
Yeah.
But to have her read this and hear the horror in her voice, way better than a title card. Like, why would we just use a title card? What are we doing?
I don't know.
You have actors. Anyway, we cut to he and his mom are driving to the starting line and they're listening to a radio broadcast on like, it's the 19th anniversary of the war and the walk back to prosperity. But this is why it feels kind of like the 70s is kind of the talking points and stuff we hear about it. And then the visuals, all the cars are old, everything's old.
It kind of feels like after World War II, there was like 10 years of prosperity and then some sort of civil war that ruined the country. I don't know. I don't know what else it was. And this is post that 19 years.
Right.
You know?
Yes, yeah. Anyway, she says the back out date was yesterday, which...
He says that. Because
he
she's
says
like, you could just walk away or whatever. And he's like, no, the back out date was yesterday.
Which was fascinating to me that there would be a back out date.
You got to have alternates, Paige. You got to have alternates.
You got to have alternates, right?
And you have to have the appearance of voluntary like submission to the game.
Right.
Or challenge or whatever you'd call this.
But that's unique among a lot of dystopian stories like this, right? Hunger Games. I mean, Katniss steps in for her sister, but that's not the norm, right?
Right.
Battle Royale, there are no alternates. You are just fucked.
No, you're kind of like kidnapped, literally, and put in a bag and taken to the site, you know, where they do the thing.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yes.
But in this movie, I think this movie actually shows... oh, this is the way a society like ours would actually do this because it's such a soft yes. You have to send them a letter to be added to the lottery.
And everyone does every year.
Yes. And you have to win a lottery. You win something to be a part of this.
Right.
And then you get to back out if you decide you don't want to.
Right.
And I think all of those things, this is what immediately at the beginning made it feel like it was a military metaphor.
Yes. That's exactly where I was pulling this.
Because that is the way our like recruitment works, right?
Draft system works. Yes.
Yeah. And it does obviously target the more disenfranchised because if you have a clear path to a better life that does not involve, voluntary submission to the military, you're going to usually take that path. There are those for reasons that still do it, and that's great or whatever. I'm not trying to talk down to people who choose to go into the military for whatever reason. But I do feel like more poor people sign up because it is their only way to a better life.
Right.
And I honestly feel like if you do that, great. Like, I'm so happy you did that because...
I hope you get that better life.
Yes. And I hope you get out and get a better life or stay in and get a better life,
whatever.
But I think that is why more people who are poor go into the military.
Yes. Yeah.
And I feel like that's what this is trying to say. I don't think America would set up a walk like this. I do think broadcasting, killing like young men on TV would ruin I think it would change a lot of people's perception on the military and like that whole system. So I don't think we'd ever actually do this sort of competition.
I mean, allow me to imply that we have effectively done all the parts of this just overseas. And to quote a very oft quoted phrase, the revolution was not televised. And there's a lot of things that people are just not visually seeing that are happening that are horrible, right? Especially if we're looking at this as a Vietnam metaphor, especially Vietnam.
Yeah.
Right? But I feel like, this is if I go to Iraq, I can go to college.
Exactly.
Like, that's what this is.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly this. And if you did that, thank you for your service. I'm glad you're still with us.
I'm glad you're still with us.
Yeah. Yes. It's like, it's just, I think, a really apt metaphor for the voluntary, like, we don't have to join the military, which I'm grateful for, but there are some people for which it is the only option.
Yes.
And that's what this is trying to say. Yeah.
Well, and I think the other thing that to me really suggests that within this is they really hit the same point over and over again of this is an honor.
Yes.
The long walk is an honor.
Yeah.
You're doing the honorable thing. Now, they immediately flip it around because with all the honor talk and the draft talk, I was like, oh man, military metaphor.
Yeah.
And he gets out, his mom made him oatmeal chocolate chip cookies, which Judy Greer, that's right, because raisins gross. Yes, love it.
I mean, yeah.
Thank you.
100% you choose chocolate chip over raisins.
Always.
Especially because you don't want to have to shit a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. But the oatmeal will help. But as his mom, this part when I was watching Judy Greer's performance, I was like, this might be good. And then I was kind of disappointed.
She's only in the movie for like literally 2 minutes of runtime. It's kind of sad because she is so good, but she can't be on the walk page. Yeah.
No, I know. But like, so you could have had a lot of flashbacks to continue to tell us these stories, but whatever.
True.
It's whatever.
Yeah.
But in this moment, her like hugging him and being like strong of like, okay, go do the honorable thing. And then realizing what that means.
Yeah.
And being like, no, don't leave. You're like, oh my God, no, I'm gonna sob the whole movie.
Yeah, she's essentially living out every parent who hugged their kid goodbye to go to war and then never saw them again.
Yep.
Although she does see them again later because she's along the walk.
Right.
But so many people have been through that. And I mean, literally throughout time. Not even like so many Americans have been through that. So many Roman soldiers' wives have been through it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like it's been going on forever.
I think of the cinematic classic 300 of come back with your shield or on it. Yes.
Get it, Leonidas.
Right? At this point, I'm like, this is a hardcore military metaphor. Like, This is what this is. But then we literally, as they like line them up, we then get, first of all, we get our friend from Rye Lane, David Johnson. So glad to see him always.
Oh, David Johnson. Yeah, he was Peter. He was
also in Romulus. Yes.
Man, when I saw him on the screen, I was like, oh, where have I seen this guy from?
So many things.
When you said Rye Lane, I was like, hell yeah, that's where it is.
Rye Lane and Romulus.
Yes, I recognize it from Romulus.
Yeah.
Rye Lane is such a different movie from this and Romulus, and he crushes it in all three of these. You know what I'm saying? He's so good on screen.
I just want to watch everything he's in. He's never let me down.
Yeah, dude's good. Cooper Hoffman, he's Ray.
Philip Seymour Hoffman's son.
Yeah. And he kind of looks like him too. It's a little heartbreaking because I love Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah.
But he does such a good job in this movie too. All of the core guys on the walk, I think, are pretty stellar.
Right. And I've seen art in other things too, and I couldn't think of what. The first guy, Curly, the first guy who dies is Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, Jojo Rabbit, stop.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the group of guys is like a who's who of disaffected teen sons you've seen in other movies.
Yeah. And also I think guys will see a lot more of.
Oh, 100%.
At least from the core group of guys. If your death had a metaphor in this movie, you're going to continue to work for a while. You know, you're that good.
The one that I had not seen in as much, or at least did not immediately recognize, was Collie Parker. But I thought he does a great job and was actually really interesting. And I was like, put that guy in more stuff.
His death.
Oh.
Collie Parker's one of the three heroes in this movie. I'll just say it that way.
100%.
We don't get very much time with him, but I fucking cried.
He takes out a couple soldiers, though.
Yeah,
I was like, fuck yeah, bro.
He's one of the only two people that actually kills someone who's a part of the system.
Right.
Fuck, yeah.
Anyway, so we get kind of a mix of like who all of our people are. But then the second they start lining them up and they're going through, and Mark Hamill starts going through like what this is.
That was Mark Hamill.
Yes.
I was like, this guy sounds familiar. Was he the Joker in the Batman cartoons? I'm just joking. Of course I know
Hamill.
This is Luke Skywalker, guys.
Yeah, and in the book, the Major is a much more nebulous character. He doesn't necessarily have any personal connections to people on the walk, which is something they did for the movie to give them the movie something.
I kind of dug that, not twist, but reveal maybe.
I did too. I wish we'd have gotten different or more reveals of that earlier. It takes us an hour to hear about Ray's dad. And then it takes another 40 minutes for us to hear about Stebbins.
Yeah. And Paige, they're both on the walk for their dad.
100%.
Like, we should have connected those dots in a fun, revealing, interesting way. I thought that too.
Yes.
I agree 100%. Yeah. But we also meet all of the other characters here. So we're meeting it's Olsen, they call him. I forget his first name, sorry. But we meet Olsen, we meet Stebbins, who doesn't really talk much towards the end. We meet Barkovich. This is where we first meet Art and Peter. And it's like they're all just sitting kind of in a circle some people are like locked in and don't want to talk, and some people are more friendly and stuff. And so it's just setting up the personalities we come to find later in the movie, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, they line up everybody, and the major like gives this like honestly kind of patriotic performative speech about the walk.
Well, so this is where I started to be like, maybe this is not just military metaphor.
Yes, yeah.
Which admittedly, it works great as a military metaphor. But like when he gets up and is like, we've got an epidemic of laziness. I'm like, oh, this is a capitalism metaphor of like the idea that that poor is moral failing and that everyone who does not have money is lazy.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, Todd's going to love this.
Yeah. I bet the people who voted for this for listener requests were like, let's just give Todd something he can just yell about for 2 full hours.
He needs this. I know Paige was definitely rooting for Companion, but Todd needs this.
Guys, can I reveal last night Paige texted me that like she would have preferred Companion. Let's just say it that way.
Yeah.
And I was like, Paige, you pick the movies. You can just pick Companion.
I know.
And she just sent back,
I know.
True.
True.
So I bet we do it sometime soon anyway.
Yeah, we'll do it eventually. I've got other stuff for next month, obviously, but
of course. Yeah.
After that, we'll dig into Companion.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Mark Hamill as the major is just like, you guys have decided to not be lazy by letting us kill you.
I mean, 100%.
Which still works with the military metaphor.
It does, yes. But it also works as like, we hold up these people who are like, just pulled them up by their bootstraps people. And we look at them and like, we honor them in society. And we're like, yeah, no, it's great that they're whatever, you know?
They came from nothing and became something. But the reality is that 99.99% of people will not have that chance and cannot do that.
And what we're watching in the movie is not those people. What we're watching in the movie is the people who are literally killing themselves to try and be one of those persons that have already won the walk, right?
Right.
Mark Hamill's actually talking about the people who have won.
Right.
And that one of them might be. But there are like 40 kids here. Not kids, maybe young adults here.
There's 50. In the book, there's 100. And mercifully, in the movie, there's only 50.
Well, I mean, you probably could have started with 100 in the movie. You would have just weeded another 75 out when they go up the hill. You know what I'm saying? We never would have met those people. But this movie could start with literally every person who has a job in America. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no limit on how many of these people can be because this is going to happen to us all.
Right, yeah.
We're all going to work. Some of us will get to retire, but we're all going to die.
But we're at less than 20 minutes into this movie at this point as the race is about to start, which from a screenwriting perspective, yes, your race should start at the end of Act 1. Correct, right?
I do want to correct you. We cannot call this a race. It's not a race. And they say it's not a race.
Oh, that's right. There's no finish line.
Yes.
The walk.
Yes.
The walk starts.
Which, Paige, I'll say from a storytelling standpoint, calling it a race, it's much better storytelling.
Sure.
But as a plot point, this is not.
Right. No, for sure. But I also think that also might be why, from a story perspective, I also struggle with that. I know that for the metaphor, yes, that is how you need it to be. And yes, obviously, that's how that would be.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much we've discussed this. Paige don't like things that don't have endings.
This movie has an ending. It's dark.
No, sure. But just the idea that there is no finish line is also why I don't play certain video games.
Yeah. I mean, I understand. I don't disagree. And I don't love nihilist endings.
Yeah.
But that's because it's too much like real life to me. And that's the point of this movie. So I kind of would have been upset if we got like a happy ending, where they like hug each other and they're like,
right. And he's now rich with his mom.
Or like they say, you know what, we'll grant you your wish before they kill Ray. And his wish was to let 2 people win.
Right.
And so Ray gets to survive. Like I would have cried a lot and kind of loved that in the moment, but it would have betrayed the metaphor of the movie, I think.
This is going to sound wild. I think this is one of the things that Hunger Games actually does really well, particularly in the book. Not as much in the movies, but in the books, at least. In Hunger Games, they do get the prize and they do win and they are woefully unhappy.
Yeah.
And it is this idea of like, what does this prize mean in a world that has made this prize meaningless? And so like, what does this prize mean if I have to carry all this trauma as I've won it, right?
Yeah.
We'll talk about the end when we get to it. Especially after finding out the book ending, I don't know why they changed the movie one, but like, we'll get to it when we get to it.
Wild. Okay.
Yeah. So we get some of the rules, not all of them, but we get like conserve energy with possible. You wear your tags.
Yeah.
You line up, and they line up to walk in a certain formation, but they don't keep that as they go. It's just a start.
Yeah, I think it is to drive home the metaphor of the military, because I do think the beginning part is very, this is a military kind of metaphor. It does get more open capitalism after that, but up until the start of the walk, it's very military. I even thought it was funny that they make them go through like a security checkpoint.
Right.
And he gives his ID to the security guard.
And they keep it.
And that guy wasn't there to check IDs. He was there to get souvenirs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's no way that guy's not up on like post-APOC eBay selling those guys' IDs.
Right. But they also get canteens that they routinely refill.
Yeah, which you can ask for. It's not like they monitor your water output.
Right.
So, yeah, I thought that was a kindness, maybe.
Maybe. They've got the wristwatches that show how many miles and how fast they're walking. And then they have a belt that has like rations on it. Yeah. We don't get a ton of information about the rations, other than we do know that at one point Spam is one of them, but Olsen is allergic to it. But we'll when we get to it.
Yeah.
The rules are they have to walk at 3 miles an hour the entire time.
And you can't step off the pavement.
Yeah.
And you just gotta walk. You can't stop. You get 3 warnings, and then you get shot. Those are the rules.
Right.
I actually kind of like the way they do the rules.
Although they don't call it that. They say you get your ticket.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to soften it for the audience at home page. Yeah. You can't be like, we're going to shoot you in the fucking face if you stop walking. You're like, you're going to get your ticket. And I'm sure they cut away in the edit that goes on TV. You know, you just hear the shot or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I really like the way they did the rules in the movie, because it makes it seem like, yes, there are structured rules. But everybody here, because we grew up in the society, already know what the structured rules are.
Right.
So let me just go over the talking points, and that makes it feel like it's a real world that we're living in, but it like respects my time as a viewer and only tells me the stuff I need to know, which is not like every rule written out like the opening letter in this movie.
Right. Well, and it's one place that the movie doesn't do the opening letter thing, but later the movie will do the opening letter thing a lot.
Yeah, I'm not saying it does it perfectly the whole time.
No, I mean, I'll start pointing out my pet peeve one, like my real specific one, later in the movie, because they hit the same point 6 different times, and I like kept noting it in my notes, and I'm like, when is the shoe gonna fall? When are we paying any of this off? And I'll bring it up when we get there. But
I'm sure the 6th time the movie is preaching that, I just had my hands up and head down like, yeah.
No, it wasn't a preaching moment.
Oh, my bad. Okay. Well, we'll get there. I'm sorry.
It was just bad storytelling.
Fair enough. Yeah. Anyway, Luke Skywalker takes out his lightsaber, shoots it in the sky, and they start the walk. Mile
1, there's like a dead cow. They're kind of talking about like there's going to be spectators in the final stretch and locals, and they're on TV. I would have liked to see some societal part of the TV part, which Hunger Games does a lot of.
I was going to say that's the Nick Lachey. We never get the Nick Lachey like talking head kind of thing, which I think would have been fun. Like give us 2 or 3 winners of the walk that are now just like the worst, like your Peter Thiels, your Elon Musk kind of thing. But we never got that.
Give me Coleman Domingo from Running Man. Give me Running Man. Just let me watch Running Man again.
Is that who the girls are singing about in that SNL sketch? Is that the Domingo they're talking about?
They should be.
I gotta see Running Man, and I'm honestly a little sad I haven't seen it yet.
Dude! Okay, here's what I'm gonna tell you.
I'm gonna listen.
Go see Running Man and then reevaluate if this is a good movie again.
I'm sure I'll like that more. Yeah.
Because then you'll be like, oh, a movie that did basically the same thing but is way more watchable? Running Man.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true.
But this is kind of exposition dumping of like what we should expect and how the race works and why everyone came there. This is how we find out that Rey is the walker from the home state. So it made me wonder if the walk changes states every time, and every time there's a home state walker.
I already know there's a business model for exactly this page because I've done a few of these, quote, long walks.
Right.
They're called Ragnar races.
Right.
The one I did, I've done it twice, but the Chattanooga to Nashville, but you're not doing the whole leg. You're not doing the whole thing. Like
Right,
you have a
right.
team of 6 or a team of 12, whatever, and you're running shorter legs of it.
Sure.
But these guys are just like walking the whole thing.
Right.
But even that, which is around 200 miles, every road Ragnar is about that long. It takes even fast teams like
multiple days.
Well, it's actually under a day, but it's long. It's a long time,
Right.
because you're taking breaks. If you have a small team, which is a team of 6, you're only running a sixth of 200 miles, which is a lot.
Right, but you're also doing it in stages.
Yes, and you're getting to rest. Exactly, Paige.
Right.
Yeah, these guys can't even take a shit,
Right. My question is more because we see things along this roadway that indicate that this is always the direction and always the walk.
I got the vibe that this is always where it starts, but I do like the thing of it could start in any state because, every state has roads that you could just walk on forever.
Right.
Yeah.
But like the 100-mile marker has like a mural and stuff. Anyway, so I think it's always here.
I think it's always here too, yeah. But it's Stephen King wrote the book. Stephen King sets a lot of things in Maine, so of course I think it's always here because he would want it that way.
Right. But we get to mile 5. Everybody's still mostly walking fine. They're all talking to each other, getting to know each other. When Curly, who they reveal lied about his age to do the walk, much in the military metaphor.
And it's very much an open secret. Like everybody knows, including the people who represent, quote, the system.
Right.
Yeah.
So Curly's the one that's kind of fading. But first, Barkovich stops to adjust his shoe, gets his warning number 1, warning number 2, and then keeps walking. Because you can walk your warnings off, which I thought was very interesting.
I thought that was cool too. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But we also see Barkovich spit at a cop.
Yeah.
It's like right in this beginning section before the first death. And I was like, Barkovich gets it, man. He understands why he's here. He understands what he's doing.
Yes. However, in the earlier scenes, you know how he has the spoon that comes in later?
Yeah.
He has that spoon in the early scenes, rubbing it as like a fidget object.
Yeah, it's like a sensory thing.
It is, but also occasionally hitting his head and kind of talking to himself.
Yeah.
And I think that's the movie's clue that Barkovich was previously institutionalized because they typically only give you spoons.
I mean, maybe. I did not pick up on the spoon part of it, but yeah, I could see that.
Yep.
Either way, I think it leans into your like someone who is marginalized by society because of a mental illness or, whatever.
Right.
That manifests that way.
Right.
Because that could also be like someone on the spectrum who just needs a sensory object and like struggles socially or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely pointing that out and like that they'll kill them too.
Yeah. Well, and if we're looking at all the different ways people are disenfranchised and find themselves on the walk, it is one of them of like, there are not services to serve him. This is his only option.
Yes.
Right? He never comes out and talks about that with anybody. We don't get as much of his story, but I think that is the movie visual cueing that's what's happening.
I think it is. I think Garrity kind of talks, Garrity and what become the Musketeers kind of talk about it at this beginning section too, when Garrity's pointing out the choice of it all.
Right.
Like, yeah, this is a choice, quote unquote, sure.
Air
but
quotes,
like, have you ever thought about it this way? Yeah. Which, I mean, it kind of happens in this first little walk section before the kid dies.
It is. It's right here. It's like, we're all here because we're desperate. He's like, my thing isn't for money, but like, it's not for the air quotes honorable. And is this honorable? We're just desperate and we need something. Nobody signs up for it, but they do. We're just all put into the lottery, even though it is our choice, air quotes, but we don't really have a choice. And this is the first place where they're like, hey, don't say that loud because they'll shoot you for that.
Yeah, they will kill you for that. Yeah.
Right. This is also where we meet Harkness, who is writing stuff down. He wants to write a book about the long walk, which I was like, cool insert, Stephen King.
I know. I like that Stephen King had himself in the walk, but also realized he wouldn't be one of the last two.
This is another question I was thinking about. How long do you think you would last?
I mean, I think I would last maybe to the 100-mile mark. I don't know. I may not last through the first night. Like walking that long, that would be hard, man. It's difficult. There's a reason it's mainly just like young dudes.
I think I maximum make it to 4 a.m. after the first night. Max.
Paige, I think you and I would get hosed down trying to walk up that fucking hill that first night. I truly do.
Yes. Oh, I think I would die on that hill. Yes.
We would be fodder for the hill.
100%.
Like 100%. We'd go out arm in arm, but we'd go out.
We'd go out, yes. And like, I might make it up the hill, but not much farther.
I don't know that I would. Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause I was thinking about that where I was like, even if it was completely flat and there was no hill, I'm dying the first night because I will slow down because I'll be too tired. Like I just,
Even if it's downhill the entire way, there's no way I'm winning.
Yeah. Oh,
there's no way.
Mm-mm.
I would definitely last longer in that situation. No way I'm winning though.
No, there's other things I think I could outlast people at. This is not one of them.
Yeah, if it was like the long roast battle competition, you would crush it.
But they don't really account for this. So like Olsen is very, very short.
Yeah.
I'm very, very short. That means he's having to take twice the amount of steps.
Yep. 100%.
Yep. This is a me problem. Whenever I am out and about at like, let's say an amusement park with tall people and they're just like, come on. And I'm like, I am walking twice as much as you. Please. Please either slow down or allow that you will get somewhere and I will be there eventually.
Yeah, 100%.
This is why at Universal Studios, Natalie and I link up.
Well, Natalie's 5 feet. Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
I will very often look back and she's like 3 steps behind me and I'm like, oh shit, my bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But we get to Curly, who gets a Charlie horse early in the walk.
Oh.
And they try to keep him up to speed and help him walk it off, but he can't. He slows down and he gets shot. And it's pretty brutal. They show the whole thing.
Yeah. It's rated R, man. It is a horror film.
It's rated R. I don't know. Anyway.
Paige, I understand the nonsensical noise you made. I don't necessarily disagree. I think the horror part of it is the system.
Sure.
Not so much the body horror we see in this. And most of the kills. We see most of the kills in real time the way it would possibly look, I guess. I don't know. I've never seen someone get shot in the face like this, but
right.
I'd imagine it would look somewhat like this.
Yeah. But they keep moving. But Garrity Ray is obviously upset and is like, oh shit, now that I've like seen it in fucking person, what the fuck have I gotten myself into?
Peter kind of talks about that. He says later, I think later in this little next sequence that he knew, of course, that this is what happens because everybody in society knows that this is what happens when you stop walking on the long walk.
Right.
But he, in his mind, saw it as like they would bring guns out and like pull the trigger and it just like a big thing comes out that says bang on it. You know, like the silly joke guns or whatever.
Right.
And I thought that was such a cool moment because it does. I'm sure what they present to the TV audience is
sanitized.
Yes, it's like the camaraderie that builds on the walk and like they build fandoms kind of. They showed that at one point. So like they're not showing the brutal murders.
Right.
You know? So I love that he has that realization of like, oh my God, I did not realize this was real, even though I fully knew it was real.
Right.
And I understand that 100%.
Yeah. But we dropped the title card at 22 minutes. Completely unnecessary to do it that way. But fine.
I do love when a movie builds to a beat and it's like, all right, this is where we drop the title card.
Right.
And listen, I didn't hate it. I don't feel like it lands as good as the fresh title card does, but I do feel like that's what they were trying to do. I know, Paige, I agree. And
here's the thing. I understand being like, the first body falls title card. Cool.
I thought the moment was worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it didn't bother me, but yeah.
I mean... You could have gotten to that first body falling way faster.
Definitely could have, yeah. But that's not this movie.
You wouldn't have lost much, but like that. So we're 22 minutes in, and the thing that we all knew was gonna happen happened.
Yep.
And the movie's like boom, and I'm like, no, we knew.
But did we know, Paige? Do we all realize that we're gonna die? Because that's essentially what Peter is saying.
Yeah.
He comes over there and is like, oh God, I've been under the assumption that I will not die. And I just realized I'm gonna die, you know?
This has never been a thing for me of thinking that I would not die.
I have never felt that way, but I have never pondered what it might be like. I mean, I have obviously, but like, I definitely understand the childlike nature of like not thinking through your life like that.
Sure.
With keeping that top of mind, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe this is a thing for me of like, I have heard people be like, yeah, I realized I was going to die. I was like, what? Just now? Like, not when you were a child and adults died around you? Like,
right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right? What? Anyway, I do think it's wild that Mark Hamill is like, the first death is glory-filled just as the last. And I'm like, no, They are all the same, but this is a thing you have made up to make people feel better about it.
Yeah. What did Napoleon say? Men will do so much for a small piece of ribbon.
Yes.
It was something like that, right? And I feel like this was the major doing what we as society do when someone goes to battle and they die. And I'm not saying that it's not a sacrifice and it's not honorable, because it is those things, but it is a way of us glorifying it without acknowledging how sad it is.
Right.
Especially for those that like signed up because they had no other option.
Well, and especially for the families and
yeah.
you know.
But they have done an honorable thing. That's not what I'm saying. Like, it is such like a sad thing, and it is a patriotic thing to go do. I'm not trying to downplay that at all. I think it's just the way that we as a society sometimes think about the honorable side and not about the personal tragedy side of them actually dying.
Let me put it to you this way. Glory don't pay the rent. Like,
that's the whole ribbon quote, right? Like, men will do so much for a little piece of ribbon, because he would just give out medals and if people would die for those things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway, we get to mile 17, and this is the very first time the movie addresses the fact that people would have to pee.
I did think that was funny. He's like, watch out downstream, or whatever he says.
I was also thinking about it, because again, I hadn't read the book. I went into the movie largely blind, and I kept thinking, I was like, are they going to stop to let them sleep? Are they going to let them pee? And when it was like, no to both, I was like, this could be over fast.
Yeah.
Because think about it. Peter pees here, which, okay, can we talk about this? I felt like the movie was queer coding Peter and never paid it off. Multiple people imply it in the movie.
I could kind of see that, maybe. I don't think the movie's about who the guys want to have sex with. So like,
no, but
I don't think they need to go into it. But yeah, I could maybe see a reading of it that way. I don't think he loves Ray in a romantic sense at the end of the movie, but I do feel fully like he loves Ray.
Oh, sure. I just felt like the movie did a lot of weird setup of other walkers accusing him of being gay, and then him being very connected with Ray, but not. Like when Ray is like, do you have a girl? And he's like, no, Ray.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's what I'm saying. He definitely could be.
I'm like, so are we not gonna ever talk about this, really? Like, once again, the movie's setting something up and then just not paying it off and completely abandoning it in the movie.
Yeah.
But this is one of those first places that it starts to come up, because other walkers kind of make fun of him for just openly peeing in front of everybody.
Which you'd have to.
Yeah, you'd have to.
I think that's an insane thing to be upset about. You know, like, and listen, I'm going to walk backwards when I do it because I can walk backwards and pee at 3 miles an hour. And if I don't, they're going to murder me. So guys, I'm sorry.
Right.
You don't have to look at my dick, but I have to pee.
Right. But this is also where he like finishes peeing. There's a girl rooting for Ray on the sidelines because he's the home state walker.
Yeah.
And this is where they start to like, okay, we're the 3 Musketeers, but then also Gordon, so we're the 4 Musketeers.
Which I will point out, the book 3 Musketeers is about 4 people, one of which doesn't become a musketeer until the end.
I thought about this too.
But like, the metaphor holds.
What about D'Artagnan?
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you got Athos, Porthos, and Aramis. All of those are 3 Musketeers at the beginning of that movie. And D'Artagnan in that book becomes a musketeer. So like, it is about 4 musketeers, guys. Everybody calm down.
Right.
But if I had said that, they would have othered me like they other Olsen, because he also knows things about books and stuff.
Right.
And they're like, what are you, a nerd? And he's like, 'cause I read?
Right. But at this point, one of the first walkers, he's walker number 1, has a seizure. And they put him down. This,
I think, is the best metaphor for our healthcare system.
Right.
I was like, oh, God, that's brutal. But they do.
Well, and they say that he had a medical, apparently if you have a medical exception, you don't do the walk. And they're like, he must have hid it from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like, you ever see John Lovitz, the acting teacher or whatever, that SNL sketch where he's like, acting! I, in my mind, was doing that every time the movie had a metaphor. I was going, metaphor! So like, it made me laugh almost every time it was like a sad moment, but a metaphor happened. It kind of like helped me stay positive while watching the movie.
Yep. We cut to mile 25. Kitty!
Oh, kitty on a mailbox,
There's
guys.
There's a kitty.
How could you not love this movie?
Kitty. But this is another place where Peter is like, I've never been more horny in my life. As soon as I'm done with this, I am going to fuck till my cock turns blue. But conspicuously doesn't talk about ladies. When Gordon talks about ladies, it's kind of, They kind of tiptoe around it.
He doesn't mention preferring anything.
He doesn't mention anybody.
I mean, clearly he does have a sexual preference because he's talking about having sex with somebody. But he doesn't say male or female or anything. Yeah.
Yep. But this is also where Ray asks him about the scar and he doesn't tell him.
Yeah.
This is also where we learn that Gordon is allergic to the Spam. And so Ray shares some of his rations. But I think what we will essentially see with Gordon is he's just not eating enough when he eventually passes because it's been days and walking and whatever.
Your body needs calories or it's going to start eating itself.
Right. And this is where Barkovich starts messing with Rank.
Yeah, and he's just kind of like shitting, like picking on him maybe, I guess.
Right.
And I feel like this is actually, well, and I may be reading this wrong, but I felt like it was him in a bad way trying to like talk to somebody, you know, and he just doesn't know how to interact with people.
Trying to make a friend and doesn't know how to do it.
Yeah. They really villainize him here for what happens. And it's sad what happens because he's like picking on Rank for his name and joking about his mom, and Rank takes a swing at him, falls down, can't get up, and gets shot.
Right.
Because of it.
Right.
And so like everyone starts calling Barkovich a murderer and like a killer, and he's not. He's fully not.
I disagree with you.
He's kind of an asshole and doesn't know how to socialize with people, but the guy with the carbine who shot Rank in the face is the killer.
Sure, but here's what I will say. Barkovich knew that if his teasing was the reason that Rank slowed down, Rank would get shot. And they yelled at him to like, hey, stop.
Yeah.
One of you is going to get shot. We don't want you to get shot. And he did it again. He is a murderer.
No, he's not.
Frankly.
No, he's an asshole that a guy took a swing at justifiably, and then that guy fell and couldn't get up. And the guy with the gun's the murderer, Paige. The system is what killed that kid.
Sure.
If that had been on a regular Sunday walk out with friends, he would have scraped his face up, got pissed, and went home.
Yes.
The guy with the gun is the murderer.
But Barkovich knows the guy with the gun is there.
And when he swings at him and falls down, Barkovich yells at him to get up too. Barkovich doesn't want him to die.
But he doesn't run and help him up.
No, he doesn't go run and help him up because he's going to get shot. I'm not saying Barkovich is a hero. He's a bad dude and doesn't know how to talk to people.
I'm saying Barkovich is partially culpable for that boy's death.
I would agree with that, yeah, because he did take actions that led to that.
Yes.
Manslaughter, maybe, Paige. Murder one, definitely not. That goes to society.
Yeah, we can say manslaughter, not murder. That's fine. Yeah. And here's the thing. Does he feel bad for it? Absolutely.
He kills himself for it later. Like,
yes,
he feels bad about it. Yeah.
Yes. But in those moments, did he absolutely take action that helped that kid die?
100%.
Yes. So he's messed up over it, like immediately. And at this point, they're like, hey, has anyone had to poop yet? Number 45 has the shits. This is real gross.
Paige.
I know it's a reality of it. Seeing it didn't help anything.
I honestly thought it was brave of this movie to just have a real Amazon worker in it. Because all he wanted to do was take a shit and he got shot for it.
He got shot for it. And he has diarrhea. So he's having to stop multiple times and take shits, which like at a certain point, depending on how bad the diarrhea was, I would have just stopped to have the diarrhea and been like, I know I'm going to die, but this is what it is.
Paige.
This is how I would die.
I would have waddled at 3 miles an hour and just let it flow.
I could not. The feeling of diarrhea in my pants while walking.
Oh, you're assuming my pants are still on. I can take my pants off at 3 miles an hour.
Oh, okay. That's a good idea.
I'm not going to walk with pants when I have to shit. Yeah.
I'd struggle to get my pants off at 3 miles an hour.
Paige, I never struggle to get my pants off. You know what I'm saying?
Especially because I started thinking about like all of the things that would impact me if I had to do this. And chafing is 100% one of them.
Paige, I would have showed up to the line with like booty running shorts on, definitely like a sun shirt, you know, like a long one that's not gonna, and then like a big like hat.
Right.
And definitely like Band-Aids over my nipples. Like I would have showed up like the most annoying marathon runner you've ever seen.
100%. And like, cause I was thinking of, so I have walked like 20 miles in a day before, like easily, right?
Yeah.
Even as someone who's not like working out or whatever, just throughout the day, I was walking around the French Quarter. I didn't really think about it. And then at the end of the day, your phone was like, damn, what you been doing?
Yeah.
So like, Right? It happens. But the way I made that happen was powder and all kinds of stuff and leggings so that my legs weren't actually like moving together.
Exactly. I would definitely be wearing like some Under Armour like leggings so you didn't
Yes.
shave. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
But that means if I had diarrhea and had to try and get them down and then get them back up over sweaty, swollen legs, once those come off, they're hard to get back on.
Paige, why are you even taking them off? Why are you not pre-cutting holes in them so you can just like pull them apart and just...
That's fair. That's fair.
Paige, I figured it out. I would never do this, but...
Because then my butt cheeks and stuff would rub together because of the hole.
Yeah, I am going to have a chafed ass by the time I'm done with this walk.
Yeah.
But I'll also be dead going up the hill.
Yeah, we would die on the hill.
Yeah.
Anyway, they shoot that guy.
Yeah.
And after they shoot diarrhea guy, they're like, the first night is upon you. And we're like, okay, shit. So they're not going to let them sleep. They just walk through the night. And then we get one flashback to the cookies. And I'm like, oh. And then we reveal that that was Ray dreaming while walking.
Yeah. He is like leaning on Peter and kind of dozing off while walking, like sleepwalking, which people do, but this is like a different version of that.
Which is what would happen.
It is what would happen. You're right.
Yeah. The further we get into it, when that guy eventually just kind of like runs off, people start just running off the pavement to get shot. That's where I'm like, that's the lack of sleep. Because you just fucking go crazy.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not on varying substances, like the amount of sleep you can lose before you start to go full cuckoo bananas is not a lot.
Yeah.
By the way. And the older you get, that number goes down. You can really not lose sleep. But like at a certain point, they would be completely divorced from reality. So like,
yeah.
Anyway, but they essentially, he wakes up, he's talking to Peter about, like, I saw Mom at the starting area. And he's like, if I make it to Freeport, she might be there because that's where we live. So I could potentially see her again. And I do at this point. I really like the conversation they have where they're like, do you think you can win? It's like, no, I fucking don't, man. But I'm here. And so like, it's walk or die. Like, what are you going to fucking do? But no. And Pete basically says, he's like, I think there are guys here that will start to sabotage people to avoid dying. And I don't have that in me.
Yeah.
And so when the time comes and that's my only option, I'm just going to sit down.
And he does.
And take it.
He literally, well, he doesn't take it because he gets brought up. But yeah, I mean, he does.
He gets rescued.
Yes.
Right. And Ray similarly is like, it's walk or die. I don't fucking know what I'm going to do. But like, yeah, I don't think I can win this. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, essentially.
Yeah.
This is where we get to the hill. And this is where the one that's writing the book, the Stephen King insert, twists his ankle and essentially walks on a broken foot for almost 100 miles after this.
It's bad. Yeah. When we see him right before he dies, I was so heartbroken for him. Like, because I knew the last like hours of his life were incredibly painful, only to just get shot anyway. Like, it's so sad.
I also don't think you could maintain the speed.
Oh, me either. But I agree. Yeah.
I think they have him walking way too long, but whatever. But they do the hill. And I do like that they display that Ray is not in great shape. And so this hill is a challenge. But Pete gets him through it. They get there together. But you watch behind them as the guards are just like picking people off on the hill.
Yeah.
And we find out that they lost 14 people.
Yeah, because if you already had 3 warnings and then you hit the hill and your pace dropped below 3 miles an hour for a second, they shoot you.
Right.
So like, it's not even like, oh, I couldn't make it up the hill. It's like, oh, I didn't equate for how much more effort I'd have to put in for the grade I'm walking up now. And because I already had warnings, they shot me because I couldn't calibrate fast enough. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like simple mistakes will get you murdered by the system too.
Right,
And I kind of like that this showed that, even though it's not like a metaphor for one person. It's like 14 people that die.
Right. But they make it to the top of the hill. All of the Musketeers make it, but Gordon's not doing good. This is also where Pete is like, the people who are physically fittest are not necessarily the people who will win.
Exactly.
It is the people who can put one foot after another.
It's not about being physically fit. It's about being diligent and persistent, you know, and like the kind of dick who just does something because they have to do it, you know?
Right. I feel like if you ever watch Naked and Afraid or Alive, this is more true than anywhere, where you will see people in peak physical condition with good wilderness skills get out early because they just mentally cannot do it. Like they don't have the bizarre fortitude to survive a reality show.
I was going to say, Paige, I'm not one of the physically fit forest people, and I mentally couldn't do it. I couldn't do it for those reasons, too. I also couldn't mentally do it.
See, oddly enough, those are some of the things that I think I could do. I think mentally
you would handle it way better than me, for sure, yeah. I don't think either of us would do good with the forest shit.
True.
Like, I don't think either of us could make a structure out of, like, the wood around us and a pocket knife that these people do.
That's one of those things that I'm like, I'd do it until I died. Like, I could try, right?
Oh, I would definitely make my best attempt. But I saw a guy in one of those shows make one that had a door. Like, mine's not gonna have.
And then he left.
Paige.
That was the guy who couldn't handle being alone anymore, and
exactly.
he left.
Yeah.
Yes.
It happens.
But then the guy that I think is my analog on that season, who literally couldn't find food and barely had shelter, but lasted because he was fat. And I was like, that's me. That's me, that I will last here until you pull me out of the fucking forest. And that guy was like second place or something.
Yeah,
like,
he did
that's
all right.
how Paige survives places. Sheer force of will.
Yeah, like persistence. And that's what this is, I think the movie is pointing out here. Like, you can be physically fit and just not a person who has to do something like this and get knocked out. But yeah.
Anyway. Mile 67, that one kid's still walking on a broken foot.
Yeah, I think he gets up the hill.
He does get up the hill. He twists his ankle on the hill.
Yeah.
But he makes it, and then makes it like another 100 miles.
Yes, it's a while.
Yeah, it's a while. But by the morning, Ray has walked off his warnings, blank slate, and everyone is now kind of like, okay, we got through the first night. They've thinned the herd. It's like half as many people.
Oh, yeah.
And it is the second wind, which like, I know you at some point in your life have probably stayed up all night. And then there's that weird point where it's daytime and your body's just like, oh, it's morning, so I'm awake. And like your body almost like forgets for a while that it was up all night until it doesn't. That's where everybody is like, Denny's?
I had a lot of those nights, especially towards the end of college. And then shortly after when we were like, recording and on the road.
Yeah.
A lot of sleepless nights. Yeah. But I wouldn't take those moments back for anything. I also am so glad I don't do them now, you know?
Yeah.
But you're right. There is this golden time between like 8:30 and I would say like
11.
4:30.
Or 4:30 if you make it that long. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So here's what we would do, Paige. The reason it was that long is because that's usually when we were done setting up for the show that night. Uh-huh. And then I would go back to the Suburban and sleep.
There you go.
Because the Suburban wasn't full of our gear.
That makes sense. For me, it would be like, I'd be out all night doing comedy until like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then with comedians go out to, and sadly pandemic killed a bunch of this, but LA used to have so many 24-hour places. So you'd go somewhere, you know, network, talk to comedians, chop it up, and then go home and write for 3 hours on a script or a book or whatever, or do coverage for the other job I had or whatever. And then either crash for like 3 hours from 9 to noon until I had to go to day job work, or because I was at Sur La Table, so I had, you know, closing shifts or whatever.
Yeah.
Or stay up and go to Sur La Table at 9 until the afternoon and then come home and sleep
just
before
crash.
you go do shows that night.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. No, not anymore. In fact, I was at a show the other night with a bunch of people my age, and we were all like, oh, shit, it's 10:30. Bye, guys.
Yeah, we're going to leave. We'll see you later.
Really? Yeah, no, let's do a brunch sometime after we're all well rested. Anyway, so Olsen's not doing too well, and he seems to be cradling his hand. We never really find out why, although it might be him hiding his wedding ring.
Maybe. I didn't see that. We see a lot of them using something to like hold their arms at points.
Yeah.
And I think it's to give their arms kind of a break from swinging. Like we see Ray doing it quite a bit. Like his hat has that string on it. It's not really a string. It's like the thing that you would keep it on your body.
Yeah, he's like holding his backpack and pulling the backpack off his shoulders.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or he'll put his arms in that string under the hat, you know, one at a time to hold them in place. And so I wondered if they're just like resting their arms. I've never walked this far, so I don't know what that would really do to your body. But that's kind of what I thought they were doing.
And I have no plans to, frankly.
Yeah, same. Same.
I hear people be like, I want to do the Appalachian Trail. I was like, you have fun.
My nephew just did it this past year, and he did it pretty quickly. Like he's very impressive. Anyway, but yeah, he just did it. He finished last summer.
And I've seen videos. It looks beautiful, but I'm like, boy, am I enjoying not doing that.
And Paige, he went in looking like that the guy in second place in that season, and ended up looking like that guy in second place at the end of that season.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Like, dude lost like 60 pounds. Yeah,
yeah, but he did it on purpose.
That's why he did it.
Yeah.
Hey, he put on weight knowing he was going to do it, just like the guy on.
Yes.
Because that's the thing is the guy on Alive also put on extra weight to do it, and it did work. That is a strategy that can work. Anyway, at this point, Barkovich is threatening them a little bit because he's not doing good.
Yeah, I think he's reacting negatively to the ostracization that he has received from them because they're just straight up calling him killer.
Right.
So, yeah.
And then Harkness, who's the one with the foot, he is also dead right as they get to 100 miles.
Yeah.
So but there's a mural. A prize awaits.
Yeah.
And this is where we find out that the major gets to sleep and shower when they don't.
Of course.
And thus begins the first of them hitting a beat that they hit 6 different times before paying off. And it's that Stebbins is getting sick.
Oh, yeah. He is getting sick a long time in this movie.
Way too long. Way too long. And he's like, oh, it's just allergies. Maybe it is. And here's the thing. If you had done this and then cut out 3 of the ones in the middle and then paid it back off, I wouldn't be that mad about it, except that every time we get a new mile marker, so this becomes like mile 103 or whatever, every time we get a new significant mile marker, they show Stebbins getting sick. I'm like, I fucking get it.
Is this guy just allergic to mile markers? What's happening to Stebbins?
And it's like, do you also want him to cough blood into a napkin or pull out a picture of the girl back home? Because we fucking get it, okay? We get it.
Yeah.
This is the section where they talk about the things that they would wish for. And Art is like, I want to go to the moon, which I think is a wild wish, but I would have rooted for him to get it if he won.
Paige, that sounded more logical than one of the winners of this contest in our real society who wants to go to Mars.
Right.
So I was like, you know what, Art? Get your moon. Don't get a nosebleed, but get your moon.
Get your moon. And I do like that they talk about that kid that wished for an elephant and rode it home. And it's basically you got to wish for the thing you can't pay for. Because this is where Olsen is a bunch of ladies and had not thought about.
Well, because the guys respond, well, you could just buy 10 naked ladies to come over every day with the money they're going to give you.
Right. And someone's going to have to pay them to do that.
Yeah. And he was like, well, I don't want to pay for it. That's gross. And then they're like, okay, but if someone does it as a contest winner thing, someone's going to have to pay the girl. Someone's already going to be doing that. The transaction is as gross as it is in your mind, whether it's your wish or not. And he's like, whatever, still my wish. And I kind of love that he stood by his wish just because he's an idiot. It's so funny to me.
Well, I think this wish is also fake because he's covering for the fact that he was married.
Oh, yeah, that could be true too. You're right.
So he hasn't actually thought through it at all.
Yeah.
But then we talk about how Ray and Peter both want to try and make their wishes impactful and helpful.
Yeah.
But they don't quite say how or why yet.
Exactly.
But Peter does say, I kind of wish that I could wish that 2 people could win so friends could win because you're my friend, right?
Yes. And I think at this point they are friends. I think they grow to love each other as brothers over the course of the movie. But at this point they definitely are friends. And Ray does confirm that. He's like, yes, you are my friend.
You're my friend. Might as well have one.
I do think it's believable because and I'm sure you've been in this situation at work because you've worked at startups and smaller companies too.
Yeah.
The amount of hours you have to work and how closely you have to work with a small group of people, you can quickly develop a foxhole friendship is the best way I can say it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I've worked at companies for a few years and have friendships from those companies 15 years later because I was in a foxhole with those guys or those people or, whatever. So I fully understood how he could be friends with this guy after just knowing him 24 hours, kind of.
I keep in touch with more people that I worked retail with than people I have worked office jobs with.
100%. There's nothing more. Yeah.
There's nothing more than the bonds.
For sure. Yeah. It's a very foxhole mentality, especially on the front lines of retail, man.
Yeah. Anyway, this is where Ray is like, I want my wish to do something to maybe stop this from ever happening again. And I don't know if it will, but that's my goal. And this is where they get the radio going and fuck the long walk and whatever.
Yeah.
But now it's raining and they're sleepwalking through their second night. Or rather, Ray is and Pete is supporting him the whole time. Pete is a fucking machine.
We find out why Pete is a fucking machine. Society outside the long walk has made him a machine.
100%.
Yeah.
But again, because it's a new mile marker 144, Stebbins ain't doing well.
Right. He's got a case of the sneezies because he's allergic to mile markers.
Allergic to mile markers. We get Art trying to poop and almost getting shot, but getting up and running. But this is where he's like, most people crap once a week. If I don't poop daily, I'm in trouble. And I'm like, once a week? Who are these people?
I wonder if that's supposed to be like a hint at like people aren't eating as much because it's like a bad kind of thing in society or whatever. But like still once a week sounds like there's a medical issue. And
once a
like,
week is crazy.
Do you have a cork? Is there something that's caused? Is there an obstruction? Like what's happening?
Well, and here's the thing. I do know that people with super high metabolisms poop less. I realize that is a thing.
Their body eating that poop up. That's what it is.
Your body eating that poop up. I have heard of people going more days between poops than I do, right? I do think, yes, if people are hungry and food insecure, that could definitely account for pooping less.
Yeah.
I think my body would still probably be trying to keep it as close to its normal schedule as possible.
I'd probably drop a nugget every day, even if I was hungry. I definitely am pretty irregular with all that. You know what, guys? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to leave a Spotify comment that just says how many times a week you deuce, but don't give the context for that. So if anybody looks at the comments, they're like, why are all these comments 7 times a week or like
Bots.
4 times a week or like 12 times a week? Like, what is this? So let's confuse people by leaving that with no context. Because scientifically, I don't know. I have a very small sample size of like me.
Anyway. They have Art break off until he can get rid of the stink from not being able to wipe. But that's what would really truly, the swamp ass, I could not. That is a feeling that I hate so much and cannot abide. And when I hear about people on the internet not wiping because they think, quote, wiping is gay, I'm like, I don't know how. I don't know. I don't understand.
You know how hygiene's effeminate, right? Just hygiene as a concept
it's just hygiene
is effeminate.
In general.
I don't know. I think that's a crazy take to say that like wiping is gay.
It's a crazy take.
But I do understand why he smells. It's not his fault. Like, I don't think he has bad hygiene. I think he lives in a bad system that will murder him if he stops walking long enough.
Right.
So like, Jeff Bezos with his carbine might shoot that poor Amazon worker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, 100%. I understand him doing it here. I don't understand people who don't have guns pointed at their head not wiping.
100%.
Right?
Yes, that's a hygiene thing. Yeah.
Anyway, now that Pete and Ray are alone for the morning because Art's off and, other people are other places.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, what's your real wish? What's going on? And he's like, well, my dad was my hero. He showed me banned media, which in this timeline of fictional America that is metaphorically real America, they are banning various works of writing, film, music, etc., that would give people the idea that maybe they could rise up against the system. Yeah,
because like in this world, like it's like a fascist state where like you can only consume certain kinds of media. Like they're banning books like The Handmaid's Tale in this universe, this terrible
100%.
Universe where this is taking place.
Right. They'd never do that here.
Thank you for understanding the joke. Because it wasn't presented as a joke, but it kind of was. But it's also kind of sad. It makes me kind of sad. Yeah. But here we are.
I'd never end up on the long walk because I'd die the way his dad did.
I love when we got the flashback for that because it's the Major who was also the villain in the movie. Yeah. He's like the personification of the head of the system, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And the Major pulls him out into the street, him being the dad, although his mom and he go out to witness this.
They watch,
and the Major says to his dad when he's on his knees, there's still time for you to set a good example for your son. There's still time to make the honorable choice. And of course, from the Major's perspective, that is to say, I am a member of the society and I renounce these things.
Right.
But his dad stands up and says, hey kid, I love you a lot. He's like, I'm not going to do that. And then he's like, I love you, wife, and he gets shot. It's really sad. But he does, I think, make the honorable choice and set a good example for his son. And in spite of the person who said he should be doing those things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I really like that as a narrative device. I liked it a lot.
I do also like that the movie comes back around later and is like, it just means he wasn't here.
Yep.
Like, I understand why he did what he did, but the reality of it was we just lost him.
Yep. And that realization is why when he sees his mom, he's like, I'm so sorry, I made the wrong choice.
Yeah.
And I think that this movie's arc for Ray is realizing vengeance isn't never enough.
Right.
And he should always choose the light side. And I think the arc in this movie for Peter is exactly the opposite. It is that sometimes vengeance is enough.
Yes, that the light side is not enough without vengeance sometimes.
Yes. And I don't know that either of them are right. I don't know that the movie is trying to tell me either of them are right, but that is the journey both of them are on. And they're friends while they're getting to the other person's starting point at the movie. And that's very interesting to me.
It is. I don't think either one is right. I think there's
I
a gray
agree.
area between.
Yeah, absolutes are the problem, I think.
Yes. Now, I will say this is something that actually really differs from the book. This whole thing with his dad is not the major in the book. Like, his dad is killed in a raid, right? Which is what happens.
Sure.
But in the book, the major is kind of just a nebulous figure. It's not like the specific guy who killed his dad. It's not it's the representation of the government system in general.
Yes. It's
right?
the system.
Right. So there's not like a specific bad guy.
Right.
If you want to think of it that way. It is the system, which, like, again, for the book and the way that the book goes, I think that works, which when we get to what the actual ending is in the book, that makes a lot more sense. I think in the movie, A, they realized they had Mark Hamill.
Right.
And B, they were like, we got to personify the system for them to take action and take some sort of demonstrative action, or else nothing happens in this movie.
Yeah.
And so that's why we get this. And also why we get the thing with Stebbins later, which we'll get to. But this is an hour into the movie that we're getting one character's like true mission statement for why they're on the walk.
Yeah.
We could have gotten to this faster.
I can't, Paige, and we could have gotten to this faster. We've been talking for an hour 40. And the only reason I say this is because if it wasn't me and you maybe on the podcast, this would be a quick episode because there's not a ton that happens in the movie.
Yeah.
But it just speaks a lot of the same language that I speak. And so, like, I'm just talking too much about it. But we got to move on. It's a me problem.
He essentially is like, I want to wish for the gun to shoot the major. And this is where Ray is like, hey, your dad chose to leave you, essentially. And if you shoot the major, that doesn't necessarily mean that things will change. And, like, you're a good person and not a person who naturally wants to kill somebody. And, like, maybe don't be that person. Maybe have a fulfilling life and choose different ways to make a difference. Maybe it doesn't have to be just killing that guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he basically implies that, like, vengeance is shallow. Vengeance can only do so much, and it's not necessarily real change. But now we get to another mile marker, mile 170, where Olsen is struggling.
Yeah.
And that kid gets run over by a tank. And again, because it's a new mile marker, Stebbins is sick.
Yeah. But the tank kill is the one that I was like, oh my God, they're still counting for him. But that's when I had that, like, breakdown moment of like, oh, this is like them showing systems make people who are normally, like, morally good people bad people. You know? It's crazy.
Well, and this is also where they walk past, like, a billboard that says, take the train, comfort, relax.
Yeah, right?
But yeah, mile 201. Stebbins is sick again, of course. And it's the third night. And he asks, he's like, are you guys exhausted or tired? And they're like, yeah, I think so. And he's like, I don't think you are yet, because Olsen's truly exhausted. And that Olsen's about to die, I think.
Yeah.
And Olsen, of course, is now delusional and goes back, tries to grab the shotgun, gets shot in the gut, and calls for Art, his best friend. And Art runs back to try and get him.
Yeah.
But they have to run back and get Art so that Art doesn't get shot too.
Yeah.
And Art really, really struggles with, like, I couldn't help him. And they're like, there was nothing to help him.
Yeah.
Dude, like,
nothing you could do.
He gone.
Yeah.
Mile 209, we're down to 6. And this is where we learn that Olsen was married. And his wife's name was Clementine. And so they all decide that they're going to do something for his wife, no matter who wins, except for Barkovich. who then gets very weird that they didn't ask him to participate, even though he's been kind of alienating everybody.
And it wasn't, he didn't say no when they were deciding that they were going to do something for Olsen's wife.
Right.
They just didn't even include him in that.
Right.
Because they assumed he wouldn't want to. And I think that realization is what leads to the conversation he has with Ray, which kind of, it's made me so sad for Barkovich, honestly.
Yeah. But before we get there, they have a conversation with Stebbins about how he's still not feeling well. Still not feeling good.
He's like, did you guys ever play Oregon Trail as a kid?
Yeah.
Like, what were the diseases that weren't dysentery that you could die? I think I may have something like that.
Right. And he's like, I haven't been sick in 10 years, but these days. And I'm like, I know, we keep fucking seeing it.
I know, right?
If you just cut half of Stebbins being sick out of this movie, you'd cut 15 minutes off of it.
And Paige, I get that you want him to be like a later death because of his relationship.
Of course.
To the society, if you want to call it that. But like, maybe don't make him sick at the first mile marker. Maybe make him, this is the first time we see him catching symptoms, you know, like.
Right, something.
I would believe that because he's walked at night in Maine in the rain. I would buy that is a lyric from The King and I.
Sure.
But it is also a reason you might become sick.
I think you were thinking of, what is it called? My Fair Lady.
Oh, I am.
The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain.
I am. You're right.
Anyway.
You're right.
But Barkovich, after being like, I'll do something for her if I win, I'll do it. And they're like, yeah, sure, buddy. Sure.
I kind of think everyone realizes he's having a moment.
Yes.
Not even like in a placating kind of way, but like he's losing his mind a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
So of course they're like, yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then Ray goes, well, let me go tell Peter and that you're going to be involved in all this, you know? And he goes,
yeah.
And it's really when Ray goes to talk to Peter privately that Barkovich has this like breakdown. And I think it's because he can't hear what they're saying.
Right.
And so in his mind, they're like, I don't know. I think his mind is playing tricks on him more or less.
100%.
And so he like walks in front very fast saying like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. And then he stabs himself in the throat with his spoon a bunch.
Yeah.
And just like dies. It's tragic.
Well, he's like, I can't do it anymore. I can't stop seeing it. Now you all have to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Mile 260. Stebbins still taking forever to die.
Yep.
But this is where they sing about Clementine. Cut 2. Mile marker 278. Day 5.
Yeah.
And at this point, they're like, hey, you're going to see your mom tomorrow. Like, is it easier or harder to be able to see your mom? Like, is it worse to see her or to never see your family again?
Yeah.
Who knows? 286 is when the sole of his shoe falls off, but he does see his mom. It is heartbreaking.
Yeah. And this is where he's like yelling, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have done this. Like, you were right, more or less. And he runs back and tries to hug her, but he can't step off the pavement or they'll shoot him.
Right.
And she knows that. And so she doesn't want to do anything that'll like cause him to do that. So she like backs up and like recoils away from him, which is the right thing to do, but it's so sad, you know? And like he just has to keep going. And
well, and his feet are all bloody and shit.
because he's been walking with no soul, baby, you know, like.
Oh, no, I mean, like he takes the shoes off and his feet are already bloody. My feet would be bloody by 5 days, you know, or whatever.
Oh, yeah. He probably had tons of blisters and shit. You can see it through the socks that he's still wearing.
Yeah.
Like his socks are like red.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure they started white.
Yep. But he does pull away from his mom. He and Ray keep walking.
Yeah.
And this is where he's like, I should have stayed home. I shouldn't have done this. Like I shouldn't have done this.
Yeah.
And this is where Ray finally tells him his story, where Ray has essentially been an orphan and unhoused for most of his life until he was caught as a teenager and a man tried to kill him and he survived and woke up in the hospital and was like, I got a second chance. I'm going to make the most of it.
But it's hard.
By walking until people kill me.
It's hard to stay positive.
Yes.
You know, I like that he acknowledged that.
Yeah.
He's like, it's a lot of hard work to stay positive, man. But yeah, he also says that he picked a fight with the guy who attacked him and like cut him up.
Right.
And so it's interesting to me that he's gotten to a point with that encounter in his life that he owns the part of it that he owns, you know?
Right,
like,
right.
It's not his fault he got caught up, but he's like, it was my fault that the whole thing started to begin with.
Right.
And I thought it was cool that he like acknowledged that, you know? People who have been through a life like Peter and have come out this kind of person are literally the best people you will ever meet, because they've been through the worst humanity has to offer and have found a way to stay positive. Like, those people are amazing.
Yeah.
To not end up a victim of the system that is oppressing you that hard your whole life and still remain positive, It's amazing. Anyway.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But this is where Art starts to get a nosebleed. Not the worst one yet. It's
No.
just now starting.
No, I think it's literally later this night, but I got the vibe that this nosebleed never stops.
Yes.
Which I'm sure is because of the walking.
You'd lose so much blood.
Yes, and I was going to say, I think what actually happens to him isn't necessarily because, oh, my nose is bleeding, but it's the blood loss making him like weak and like, you know. Anyway, well, it happens tonight.
Yeah, but first, Parker runs, gets a gun, shoots like 2 soldiers before they, of course, shoot him as well.
Yeah, Collie Parker, his death, that dude's a hero.
Yeah.
We don't get him enough in the movie. He's a hero. He's one of the only ones that kills someone who is actively oppressing the people doing the walk.
Yep.
Obviously, you assume he's Native American because of the way he looks. But when he starts doing the song and stuff, I just got so sad. I'm like, fuck.
Well, and he shoots himself.
Yes.
He's like, they won't take me. And you're like, oh my God, no.
I kind of wish he had kept shooting them.
Sure.
But I understood that choice and respected the hell out of it. But
yeah,
I cried during this one, especially when he started singing. I was like, oh man, this guy's been forced to live in a system he wasn't or shouldn't have been born into or wouldn't have been born into already.
Right.
And now he's a victim of this second one that happened after the battle or the war that happened 19 years ago. I was like, fuck.
Both.
Layers, man.
Layers.
It's like Todd in the Fall. Layers.
Layers. But at this point, we're down to 4 and Art's nose is still bleeding. And at this point, I just like looked at the time and realized there was still like 30 minutes left of this movie. And I was like, thank goodness we're down to 4. I'm just so tired of this movie. Like, it is relentless. We get to mile 324. The nosebleed is out of control. And Stebbins, who is also sick, is like, he's having an internal hemorrhage. Like, he's going to die. Like, that's what's happening. And Art realizes that, gives his grandma's rosary to Ray, and is like, I'm going to go out. Don't watch it, though.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right.
It's really sad. I kind of loved it. And he's like, we were friends, right? We were friends. It's just so sad. But I do think they say things that are true, but also give him a lot of comfort. I don't think they're lying to him in this moment.
Yeah.
And I think that is shown on screen by when he tries to pull away, their initial reaction is to hold on to him and to make him keep leaning on them so they can carry him kind of. Fuck, I'm going to cry. But like he fights his way free of their grasp. And I think that they kind of let him go because they realize it has to happen for whatever reason. And he dies.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's going to bleed out either way.
Yes.
He's either going to die in their arms or he's going to get shot.
I kind of mean it has to happen in whatever reason. As to 3 miles into this walk, every one of those guys should have bum rushed every soldier and killed everyone there.
Right, because there's so many more of them.
And that was the time they had the chance to actually survive. But at this point, there isn't anything other than death for all of them.
Right.
And they know that.
Anyway, so mile 326, only 2 miles later.
Yeah, this is when
Stebbins is finally like, by the way, the major's my dad.
I'm going to go die now.
I'm going to go die now.
It's actually really sad, though. It's really sad. Like, his wish was to more or less be legitimized by his father.
Right.
Which is incredibly sad. But I do like that this is in the movie because this is very much the person who is just like, I want to be in the in-group.
Right.
That I'm othered because of whatever reason.
Right.
And I will kill myself to get there. And he exactly does that.
Right. Well, and he even says that the major knows he's his kid.
Of course.
And still shoots him. Doesn't care.
Well, I don't think he shoots him. I think it was one of the soldiers because he's not the last kill.
Sure.
The major only shoots the last kill, but he is the manifestation or the personification of the system.
Right.
So yeah. He does ultimately let it happen.
And at this point, I checked the time and I was like, we're 16 minutes from the end of the movie.
We're close, Paige. We're close. We finally got to a town.
But we finally got to a town. But also I'm like, you waited to drop very interesting story points and information until 16 minutes before the end of the movie?
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, that's something would have been interesting to know that he's like, there's dozens of kids like me. Like, instead we got 6 beats of him sneezing.
Yep.
Like, what? What are we doing? Anyway, Stebbins is down.
Yeah.
Now it's just Pete and Ray. But now you know that, like, one of them's got to go for it to end, right?
Well, and they know that. And I think that's one of the reasons Pete just sits down more or less. Or I guess he kneels down.
Yeah.
But either way, he does it because he wants Ray to win, and he is tired and like he's been through a lot to this point, you know?
Yeah.
And that's when we get Ray realizing this is happening, runs back and says, he literally pulls him up and says, I just need you to walk with me a little bit more, which is very sweet, and gives Peter the idea that we're just going to walk a little bit more and then I'll sit down again and we'll say goodbye. Fully thinking he's going to sacrifice himself still.
Right.
But I can walk a little bit longer with you. And then in that comfort, he doesn't realize that Ray never started walking again.
Right.
It's so sad because by the time they count to 3, they shoot Ray.
Yep.
It's nuts.
Well, and Ray was on his 3rd warning.
Yes. Oh, I guess he was already on his 3rd warning. That's right. So it's a really quick kind of just Ray's dead.
Right, because Pete had no warnings.
Yeah.
So like...
There's a little bit of fanfare to it though because the Major does the last kill.
Right.
So, but metaphorically, he has to die.
Right.
Because of the rules of the walk, you know?
Right. But then Pete asks for the carbine. He shoots the Major.
Oh, love it.
And then the street seems empty and he just keeps walking and walks away, which is crazy because he'd be dead where he stood.
Yeah, those were his final thoughts as he was shot.
Right.
Pete is also dead at the end of this movie.
According to everything online and everything people have said, Pete is not dead at the end of this movie, but that's also a completely different ending from the book. So, like, let's talk about the book.
I also completely disagree, having only seen the movie. Peter is dead at the end of this movie, in my opinion. Or they hadn't shot him yet.
Yes.
And he's starting to walk.
That's what I thought, was
They're
that, like,
definitely gonna
he's
kill him.
about to get shot. Yes.
Yeah.
But they cut before.
I mean, he essentially would be Luigi, I think, on some level.
Right.
I kind of like that the movie leaves it nebulous just because we don't really fully know what's going to happen in that case.
Sure.
But I think this universe where Pete just did that, they'd shoot him on sight.
And that's the movie.
So, Paige, having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, can you talk a little bit about the book? Because you teased that at the beginning.
So we've talked about a lot of the differences between them as we went, but essentially in the book, it's ambiguous and nihilistic where Ray wins, but by the time he wins, he's hallucinating and endlessly walking towards a dark figure that is maybe meant to metaphorically be death. So there is no rebellion, there is no happy ending, there is no shooting the Major, none of that happens. It's just that it ends and Ray technically wins, but he is so damaged by the system and the experience that his entire life afterwards is trauma. Kind of like Hunger Games, to be honest.
Yeah, that's very similar to the Hunger Games vibe. Yeah.
And to be honest, like this sounds terrible. I prefer that ending. I prefer the book ending. I think it is more in line with everything, but that's just me.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think you're wrong. There is loneliness that comes to winning in capitalism. Like I fully think like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and stuff are just surrounded by so many like yes men kind of thing that they are lonely. I think that they are incredibly lonely people. And just sad.
I think they don't realize how lonely they are. Does that make sense?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know them.
Like they don't have a human capacity for understanding how lonely they are.
I don't know. Yeah, I think maybe. And I am speculating too, because that's how I would feel in that situation. You know, like not having a friend that'll be honest with you, that has to be so lonely, you know?
Yeah.
But I also have core empathy and stuff like that. So like maybe that's not how they feel, but that's how I would feel in that situation.
Yeah.
Well, Paige, maybe we can talk more about this and other fun facts as we get into Hit Me With Your Fun Facts. Long walk, fun facts.
In the book, the walkers have to maintain a speed of 4 miles per hour, but in the movie, they changed it. And at the request of Stephen King, they changed it to 3 miles per hour as he felt the original speed was unrealistic for the duration of the contest, which I honestly agree with.
I was going to say 4 miles is only slightly more, but that's a big difference. Like for a lot of people, that's the difference between like walking sort of briskly and almost jogging.
Yes. Yeah. On August 30th of 2025, and I actually remembered because this was in town in LA, Lionsgate held a special screening where the audience was required to walk on treadmills at the 3 miles per hour for the duration of the film, under threat of being thrown out if they slowed down.
I would have gone to that. That would have been dope. Are you kidding me?
Honestly, fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't know that I wouldn't have enjoyed it, but I think that gives you some context of like how fast is this really?
Yeah. Well, and you're only doing it for what, almost 2 hours? They did it for 5 days. Yeah.
Right.
I'd have done that. That'd have been cool.
Cooper Hoffman has said that he and his co-stars walked at least 15 miles a day in 100-degree heat on concrete with no shade.
Jesus.
For almost 400 miles for the filming of the movie. They did huge, long takes. And we watched this where like there's 20 or 30 minutes, like things that would have takes that were 20 or 30 minutes long that they're then cutting down to 5 or 6 minutes or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But like, I fully see that being an issue. In Winnipeg, Canada, which is where they shot this, but it was in full sunlight with no shade.
That's brutal. That's so brutal.
That's terrible. Yeah.
I mean, thank you for doing it because I enjoyed this movie, but that's brutal.
David Johnson didn't speak with Mark Hamill on set because it didn't feel right to get to know the Major, and didn't talk to him until they basically finished filming. He said, I didn't say a single word to him. Some of the boys did because it's Luke Skywalker, but a few of us just didn't. Not in a rude way. It just felt right to honor the fact that there was some separation there.
I kind of love actors' processes and stuff like that. And I fully understand why he would want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know that I could have not walked over to Mark Hamill and been like, you sound familiar. Are you the Joker from Batman?
Right.
Just because I think he'd laugh. You know, like I think he would know, of course I know he's Luke Skywalker, you know?
Now, admittedly, it was probably extra hard not to talk to him because there was a tradition of every Friday the cast went going to get blizzards at Dairy Queen together.
I love that.
Everyone who made this movie were like, it was grueling, but we made lifelong friends. And I was like, that sounds about right.
I bet. Yeah.
So although Stephen King has said that he didn't explicitly intend it this way, the novel is often seen as an allegorical critique of the Vietnam War, which I totally see that.
Especially the setup to the walk. I totally see that. Yeah.
Right. And he's basically said, quote, you write from your times. So certainly that was in my mind, but I never thought about it consciously. I was kind of writing a brutal thing. It was hopeless. It was what you write when you're 19 years old and you're full of beans and cynicism. And that's what it was.
That's so what it feels like too. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. In the book, Ray and Peter are both 16.
Jesus.
As opposed to the movie where they are supposed to be over 18.
Yeah, I got like early 20s, like 21, 22 maybe, but you know, definitely not 16. I mean, we have a 16-year-old character.
Right.
And he's the first one that dies, you know.
Cooper is 22 and David Johnson was 31, respectively, when they were filming. It does, in the film, have 50 walkers. In the book, there's 100 with no mention of state affiliations. It's much more Hunger Games of just like, the movie is more Hunger Games where it's choosing from each state.
Yeah.
The book is just like, we chose 100 names.
Yeah.
So,
which is more true to the military lottery during the Vietnam War, I believe.
Right. Cooper Hoffman has said that it was kind of difficult to talk through parts of the movie about losing his father. Yeah. Because obviously he did.
Yeah.
So that's kind of rough.
Yeah.
But I think that that's part of why his performance is so good. I mean, like, here's the thing. There's not a single bad performance in the movie. They're just not giving them a ton to do. Yeah. Right?
But I definitely think Ray and Peter shine in this movie. Everyone whose death has a metaphor really shines.
Right. During filming, Mark Hamill said that he had planned to have a get-together where everyone would come over to the hotel, but a bunch of people didn't want to meet him. Cooper doesn't want to meet you. He's afraid he'll like you, and it will ruin his process of like acting in the movie.
I actually have heard that Mark Hamill's like a nice guy. Like,
he's super nice.
So like I kind of get that because you have to see him as this like representation of everything wrong in society is like his role, right? So I get it. But I don't know that I would be able to say no.
Right.
You know?
Well, and essentially they all had to get together after they stopped filming and everyone's like, Mark Hamill's the nicest dude. So it's like, yeah, that maybe would have been a problem for you if you're trying to think of him as evil. This is based on one of Stephen King's novels under his pseudonym, Richard Bachman, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
The soldiers wear plain green fatigues and early model M16 rifles that the U.S. Army would have been using back when the novel was first published in 1979, which...
Very Vietnam vibes. Yeah.
Yes.
They're dressed like they're on the set of Platoon.
Yes.
Yeah.
The wristwatch-like speedometers worn by walkers use black-gray liquid crystal displays that actually fit with the time period.
Yeah.
So it essentially, this movie is 1979 in an alternate reality.
Yeah.
So
that's actually right around where it would have been had I been right about after the World War II, there was like 10 years of prosperity or so, and then like some war, and then 19 years later, this is this. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll end on this because there's a ton more stuff. If you read the book or whatever, obviously there's a lot more information.
Sure.
But in case you didn't realize, This is one of 4 Stephen King stories adapted into movies in 2025 alone.
Wow. Okay.
The others being Running Man, The Monkey, and The Life of Chuck, which technically came out right at the end of 2024, but didn't get wide release until 2025. And those are your fun facts.
Well, thank you for those fun facts, Paige. That's amazing that Stephen King had 4 movies in 1 year. That's awesome. Good for you, Stephen. That's awesome.
Of the 4, I loved Monkey and I loved Running Man. So, like, that's a pretty good percentage for me.
Yes. Yeah. I haven't seen Running Man, but I know I'll like it.
I love it.
Anyway.
I fucking love it.
Let's talk a little bit about box office. So, Paige, what do you think the production budget was for The Long Walk last year?
I think this is expensive purely because it's a lot of people. I know that sounds crazy, but like people get pricey.
PGP, baby. People getting pricey.
People getting pricey. Canada is cheaper to film in than America.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say that this cost $50 million.
They did it way better than that, or way cheaper than that.
Good.
Which
Okay.
I definitely could see why you got there, because it looks great. They're in motion all the time, which is you have to solve for to make it steady and stuff like that, and that adds to costs and stuff. So yeah, I definitely see how you got there. But it was actually $20 million.
Oh, wow. This looks great for $20 million.
Pretty
good
great.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the movie came out the weekend of September 12th, and it was 4th the weekend it came out. It was beat by Demon Slayer. What was number 1? Number 2 was Conjuring: Last Rites, which we also recently just did. Number 3 was Downton Abbey: The Grand Finale. And number 4, of course, was The Long Walk. And 5 was, honestly, Paige, this is going to sound crazy, Toy Story. The original Toy Story had come back into theaters.
In theaters?
And yes, it was.
Okay.
It brought in just over $3 million that weekend, making it 5th. Also in theaters, though, Weapons, Hamilton, Spinal Tap 2, and, stuff like that. Anyway, what do you think The Long Walk made in its opening weekend?
At 4th, I think it maybe makes $6 million.
Paige, it made more than that, and I'm happy to report it brought in $11.7 million. And I will say this, technically, if you were in The Long Walk, you can go around saying, you know what? We were in theaters at the same time Toy Story was, and we beat them by millions of dollars.
I mean, that makes sense to me because, yeah, I didn't even know Toy Story was back in theaters.
It was very much like a re-release that was in definitely a smaller number of theaters and still brought in $3 million. I mean, that movie came out like when I was in like high school or something. It's an old movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, either way, this movie was 4th and brought in $11 million in its opening week. It was 5th its next week, so it did pretty well in its second week. It was 7th in its third week and 10th in its fourth week, and it was never again in the top 10 and left theaters after the October 24th weekend. But what do you think it brought in domestically at the box office in its like 7-week run?
7-week run. It made 11 that first weekend. I think this tops out around 32.
Ooh, Paige, that's really close. Yeah, good guess. It was $35.1 million. Now, it also made $27.8 million internationally. So it did all right internationally as well. But that brings the total, and again, this is on a $20 million budget. It brings the total to $62.8 million. And if you're going by the very loose, like,
2X.
Did this movie make money of 2Xing the budget, because you got to pay for the movie and for marketing the movie to get people to go see it, it definitely made money. It made $22 million more than the budget 2X'd, right?
Yeah.
So I definitely think it was successful. I would love to see a sequel, right? That'd be great. Maybe Ray is like
Ray's
actually
dead, man.
alive and a winner, and he's like having trouble dealing with the trauma of the walk. And he becomes like the guy who like tries to shepherd Katniss through the Hunger Games for the like he's walking next to him on the side of the road, just yelling at him.
Hamish.
Anyway. Yeah, Hamish, that's his name. Thank you.
Hamish.
Anyway, that's your box office. So, Paige, you want to hit him with that scary scale?
Our scary scale is a scale of how scary we found this film today, with 1 being Ghostbusters, 10 being Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Todd.
I'm going to give it a 1. Like, this movie is not scary, but if you're looking at it from a, like, did this give you realizations about the society in which you live in that scare you, it might be higher on the scary scale. But that's not the scary scale that we have. So it's a 1. Because I wasn't like jump scared watching this movie. I was just sad.
Sure. And that's your scary scale.
Well, do you want to give your number?
I said same when you said 1.
Oh, sorry. I missed that. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Okay.
1s across the board.
Yeah.
And that's your scary scale.
Well, Paige, this week, the listeners made us watch The Long Walk. And honestly, like Paige, I know you didn't love it. Thank you, listeners. I enjoyed this, although I probably wouldn't watch it again. I did enjoy it. But Paige, What are we going to watch next week as we jump into February?
It's February, so it is Black Horror Month.
Yeah.
And first off, now I'm going to tell you what we're doing first, but then I would also like to tell you what we're doing at the end of the month so that you have time to potentially view it.
Okay.
Because it is a new release.
Oh, okay. Great. You know what's funny, Paige? I know we text about this.
Yes.
No idea what that movie is. And I know
That's
you told
fine.
me in that text.
I did tell you.
I just cannot remember. I'm so sorry.
So first and foremost, for this next week, we have a movie that has made the listener request list every Black Horror Month since we started doing it, and we've just never done it. So we're starting off with Tales from the Hood.
Nice.
I'm so excited to finally do it.
Yeah.
We love a good anthology movie. We're doing Tales from the Hood. Now,
Nice.
at the end of the month, and I know we just did 28 Years Later, but this month, 28 years later, The Bone Temple comes out, and it is directed by Nia DaCosta. Now, to give you guys just some numbers, the amount of women who direct movies in general, not just horror movies, but movies in general, is around 10%. And the amount of women of color who direct movies is less than half of that. So when a woman of color gets a chance to direct a big horror movie that they can get all the accolades for, that is reportedly very good, we want to see it and support them and make sure that people know that women directors and women of color who direct movies can direct blockbuster movies that are worth money. So at the end of the month, we're doing Bone Temple.
You're announcing this with the energy of Natalie Portman at the Oscars that year when she was presenting for Best Director, when she came out and said, here are the all-male nominees.
Yep.
I was like, oh, shit. That's baller, Natalie. That's baller, Portman.
I recently had to be in some industry meetings where I was reminded that only 17% of screenwriters are women, and even less than half of that are women of color. So whenever people get a chance, we want to make sure that we go see it and we support them.
I want to see it too. And we recently did the 28 years later. So like happy to have the update soon. Yeah, great.
There you go.
But your homework for next week is actually Tales
from the Hood. Yes.
Yeah. So make sure you watch that and report back for that episode. And then maybe, if you can, check out 28 years later, The Bone Temple in theaters.
That's right. I'm putting it at the end of the month in hopes that it will be streaming somewhere by the time we do so that more people can see it. But if you get a chance to see it in theaters, that is what most people count towards success. That's why we did Sinners when it was in theaters.
Right.
Sometimes it's worth it to pay to go to the theater.
Yeah, it literally just came out yesterday as we're recording this. Yes. It's the 17th today, so it came out on the 16th. So go see it if you can. If you can't, it'll be streaming at some point. Maybe just sleep on the episode for a bit.
And do you have any reviews for us?
I do. Paige, I'm going to read a Spotify comment from our most recent Bring Her Back episode. And it was from Stella. And Stella says, as a horror fan, I love this movie. But as a foster parent, it's terrible.
Sure.
The foster system already gets a bad rap. And this is particularly gut-wrenching.
Yes.
And so, Stella, I am sure that is true. And sorry that this took place. They kind of used the foster parent thing as like a narrative device in that movie. That's kind of sad.
Yes, yeah.
But I'm sure you were a great foster parent or are a great foster parent. And thank you for listening. If you want me to read your Apple 5-star review or Spotify comment, leave us one of those things and I'll do just that. So guys, if you like this show but want to hear Paige and I talk about romantic comedies or just regular romantic movies, check out our other podcast. Some might call it a sister podcast called Romancing the Pod, where we do just that weekly. It's a lot like this show, but for romance and romantic comedies because Paige doesn't like them. So we make her watch them, just like you guys make me watch horror over here. But if you want to follow me, I am at Todd J. Awesome on all the social media. Paige is at Rampage Wesley on Instagram?
Yes, and TikTok.
And just Paige Wesley on Twitter, because you got that before some CEO lady and she wanted it, but you wouldn't give it back, and I respect you for that.
Refuse.
Also, Paige
Suck it, other Paige Wesley.
Paige is also on another podcast. It's great. You should check it out. It's called Cult Podcast with Armando Torres, who is a wonderful person. And guys, we got a P.O. box. So if you want to send us some love letters or whatever you might send to a P.O. box, it's actually not a P.O. box. It's like a regular street address. It's pretty awesome. It's 6688 Nolensville Road, number 108-34, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027. So send us some stuff. And if you want to support this show, go to Patreon at patreon.com/horrorvirgin, where there are a lot of great levels and a lot of great things. We do the Patreon shout-outs at the beginning of every episode. We do listener requests, stuff like that, bonus episodes. So you'll be getting all of that content, plus episodes a day early with no ads, and who doesn't love that? So sign up for the Patreon and get a lot of great stuff.
And that's going to be it for us, you guys on Paige.
And I'm your horror virgin, Todd.
Keep it ooky spooky.
Yeah, have an amazing week, guys. Bye! You guys got to check out our Men in Tights episode on Romancing the Pod Nerds page. I listened to it. It was crazy.